we are. We're doing it live. Let's see. Here's the notes. What's up to our sidekicks and hench folk out there in the Geek Nation? You're currently tuning into the CultPop podcast live stream, aka spoiler alert, episode 734, where we will review the past week's comics as well as talk about fun pop culture stuffs and things. I'm your host, Johnny Destructo, owner of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex at 4327 Main Street, Philadelphia, PA, plopped right in the center of our quaint little Manayunk, a neighborhood of hopes, dreams, homemade ice cream, award-winning burgers, and untapped potential. Wink and smile, parentheses. With us this morning is returning champion, fresh off his Guinness record-breaking 60-hour live stream, Len the Bat Tribble. Len, tell us something.
Hey, what's up? How you doing? How you doing, all you sidekicks and hench folk? What's up? Holla at your boy. We here to have some fun, rock out, read some comic books. Woohoo!
We're not to be fair to the listeners. I know they're not listeners; they're viewers. But we're not going to be reading some comic books today. We're going to be discussing the comic books. This isn't like a read along.
I mean, we changed the format when you weren't paying attention.
Oh shit!
We're going to see her.
Yeah, we're going to see her one of the books.
Yeah, we're gonna read the books silently.
Yeah.
On screen. I don't want any pictures to come up.
Yeah, sometimes make audible gasps or guffaws. Yeah. But other than that, it's just going to be alone time together.
Actually, no, that sounds quite lovely. There are worse ways I could spend my morning.
I wonder if people would be interested in a podcast like that, right? You just
like hanging out alone with people.
Yeah.
A podcast of just breathing and then like every once in a while, like
people do like that. Yeah. Well, this is sounding a little like Fahrenheit 451, the Friends that it's on her wall. Yeah.
The pre-written introduction continues. I know of a man so rare that we all know him, are warmed by his presence, comforted by the tenor of his voice and the cut of his jib. Women want to be him. And other men want to be with those women who want to be him with those men. That man of whom I speak wishes he was our co-host, Brian Lieb.
Hey!
Oh yeah, me too.
That was amazing.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
Thank you to everyone joining us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. If you like what we're doing here, please, I can't imagine you would, but if you do, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. The joy of doing this live with you all in the chat, so pipe up if you want. Before we get into the comics this week, we've got letters.
You got letters?
Oh, we've got lots and lots of letters. I'm going to throw it over to Len, the Bat Tribble, because he's got it up on his screen, and he's going to read us the email.
We have an email from Charles in Chattanooga, a.k.a. the Green Lantern Tribble, a.k.a. at Hal2814, and the subject line is reading is fundamental.
Is fun in caps?
Fun is in all caps. Sweet. Indeed. Thanks to watching JD's unboxing videos and spoiler alert on Sundays, I decided to pick up Nonstop Spider-Man and Spider-Man: Spider's Shadow. Let me start by saying I was one of those people who stopped reading Spider-Man after one more day. But after reading these two books, I'm enjoying Spider-Man again. I love the writing on Nonstop Spider-Man, and I've been a fan of Chris Bachalo's art since his run on Generation X back in the day. Spider's Shadow is a cool concept, and I miss What If books, and I agree with Noel, the mask on Black Cat is ridiculous, but that's my only beef with the book. My question for the crew is there a series you have fun reading and you can't wait for the next issue to come out? Keep up the great work, guys, and in closing, spoiler alert!
Spoiler!
Sweet.
Who wants to go first?
Noel does, go.
Oh, shit. I wasn't ready for
Brian does, go.
All right. I have two books. One's very new, and so I'll give you the older one first. The Dreaming, Waking Hours is a book that has been, like, coming out for a number of issues. It's gotten through its first arc, and I'm still, like, jazzed when it comes out, you know? And then The Flash. The last issue was awesome, and I loved this one. So I have really been, and I love the Flash. So it's really great to have a Flash comic that I'm into, which is like bolstering the fact that I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. What about you, Noel?
I think the book that that always ends up being, so when I get my stack every week, I immediately put it in order of what I'm going to read that night, first. So like the top 3 or 4, I'll take them to my bedroom or my nightstand with me. And then the rest I'll just read later. Every single time it comes out, in that top 3 is always Avengers by Jason Aaron. Not because it's the best book I read every week, but it's just the most wonderfully comic book soap opera ebook I read every week. So it's almost like a comic book cheeseburger. It's just junk food that's great. So it's definitely my favorite like monthly comic book comic. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
I love that process too, right? I do the same thing. When you come home from the comic store and you're like, all right, this one, and then whoop, that one goes back, this one comes up, and then you got your order. It's fun.
Yeah.
Len, what's yours?
JD?
No, I
The guy
think
who doesn't
JD
read
should go
single
next.
issues. Which one is yours?
What trade are you looking forward to?
Yeah.
Well, yes, there are quite a number of trades that I'm looking forward to. And I usually stop reading the books here on, spoiler alert, much to JD's chagrin, such as most recently They Live and Batman, Catwoman.
We Live.
We live. That's right. We live.
They Live is a movie, is a John Carpenter film.
Right.
From the 80s.
Did anyone but me finish that 5
No.
issue series?
I have them all, and I want to.
The ending is so chef's kiss. It made me stand up and applaud alone in my room. Like that book is amazing.
We would have all
We should
seen
do a
that
book
had we
club
all
of it.
been in the same room
we
silently
did that
reading
podcast.
together.
Again,
we missed out on that
another
stuff.
It sells itself.
We should book club that. I'm just saying. Go ahead.
So that We Live, Batman, Catwoman, definitely looking forward to when they come out in trade, especially Batman, Catwoman, because that'll come out around my 60th birthday. But the one that surprisingly the book that I find myself shocked that has me possibly, I probably won't, but possibly going back to single issues.
Yeah.
Is one of the books that we are reviewing today, and that is Justice League by Brian Michael Bendis. David Marquez, I think, is doing the art, and he's a good artist. I don't necessarily think that he is drawing my version of every one of the characters, but I can't knock that it's not good art, right? And Brian Michael Bendis is being all Brian Michael Bendis about it. However, for some reason, this Justice League reminds me of the Justice League when I was growing up, which was primarily written by Steve Englehart when he first moved over from Marvel and really brought individual personalities to all of the heroes. And especially now that there's Green Arrow in there, which was Steve Englehart locked in on when he came into Justice League and created like that tension between him and Hawkman and gave Aquaman like kind of just outsider's view of everything. And like I feel like Bendis, in trying to inject humor and personality in this and distinct voices in the book, is just champion, summoning all of that from the past into the Justice League today. Like there's one little bit in the issue, and I know we'll review it, but there's one little bit in the issue where Superman and Batman are off on the side talking, and like there's a whole bunch of people that's come up because they saw that it's the Justice League. And Aquaman, like straight from the Aquaman from Brave and the Bold cartoon says, "Oh, I'll talk to them," and he goes talking to them. He's signing autographs.
He says something like, "Oh, those are people that like us. I'm gonna go."
Exactly. And it's like that's the Aquaman from the Brave and the Bold cartoon, and like he's just off on the side, and the people are asking, "Oh man, do Batman and Superman really hate each other?" He's like, "No, they're really best friends. It's quite adorable." It's like, does he always talk in that voice? Always. It was like so on point. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I am loving Justice League again. It was so much fun to read that book.
We've been like mired in dark, broody Batman, Justice League stuff and forever. I think what was it, Batman Universe, when Bendis did that mini series. It was like, oh shit, this is essentially the same tone as that. Like it takes it seriously, but it's a colorful book with some jokes.
Yeah,
it's perfect. Yeah, I agree.
I agree with all of those things. So currently, right now, the things I'm enjoying are Spider-Man books because I'm just a Spidey guy, and I always Spider-Man, if he comes out that week, is usually the first thing I get to. And I'm also pleasantly surprised by the new Nightwing by Tom Taylor. That is some good quality Nightwinging. And what else is great? I'm going to go with those two for now. Those are the two that I'm like stoked about.
Yeah, that Nightwing is. That's some good stuff.
And the covers, man. Every cover is better than the previous cover.
Yes.
Yes, you showed us that variant on the thread where you've got the costumes, so Nightwing's costumes through time, which is always a cool thing.
So, so for people who don't know, one of the reprint variants that's coming out is from the 1960s Batman television show where they would be climbing up a building with a rope. Really, there was the set is flat, and they're just pretending to climb, but like walking forward. And they would turn the camera, and it looked like they're walking up the side of a building with a rope. And this is instead of Batman and Robin, it's just all the different iterations of Robin and Nightwing. Or of Dick Grayson as Robin and Nightwing. It's really cute.
The regular cover though, very cool use of colors. And not until the second time I saw it did I see that Batgirl's hand, like gloved arm, is like down on the side. Like Nightwing is sort of stretching out, very, very in motion and cool.
This is one of the first times in a while that the regular covers are better than the like special variants. Yeah, the Bruno Redondo covers are just sick, absolutely sick. And I think Tom Taylor is kind of known for just popping in and out, but I think someone on tour asked him, please God, make this a longer run. And he said, well, I can't tell you how long, but we're planning issue 100 at least. So we're going to get a good 20 something issues at least of this run. That's awesome. Yeah.
Nice. All right. We did it. We did the letters section. We can do the comic section now. We're going to start with Way of X #1 from Marvel Comics, written by Simon Spurrier, with art by Bob Quinn. The way to the future of X. Mutant kind has built a new Eden, but there are serpents in this garden. Some mutants struggle to fit in. Some mutants turn to violence and death. And the children whisper of the Patchwork Man singing in their hearts. Only one mutant senses the looming shadows, snared by questions of death, law, and love. Only Nightcrawler can fight for the soul of Krakoa. Only he and the curious crew he is. All right, so that's not
contradictory.
Yeah, it's very contradictory. All right, so only he, but then also besides him.
But if he wasn't there, they couldn't do it.
I guess.
Guess
because he assembles this curious crew, including fan favorites Dr. Nemesis, Pixie, and Blink, can help mutants defeat their inner darkness and find a new way to live. This is the Way of X. This was fine. This is the first thing I read this week, and I didn't care. It's a little ponderous. It's philosophical. None of these things are bad, but it didn't make for a really thrilling first issue for me for an X-Men crossover. Nightcrawler is like I've always thought Nightcrawler was like a cute character, and I like him when he's hanging out with Colossus and other stuff like that. But like as the main focal point of a series, he is not a strong enough character for me to emotionally involve myself in. So I was a little disappointed in this. I like the conversations that are being had, but I don't care about the overarching storyline so far. There's an interesting character who shows up at the very end that we haven't seen in the House of X so far, I don't think, unless I missed him. So I thought that was kind of neat. I was like, oh, that guy. Forgot about that guy. He's around.
But earlier on, I wondered if, because they were talking about like the hair, I was like,
the Patchwork Man.
Yeah.
So the revelation of that, I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. But yeah, for some reason, as far as the X books go, there are books higher on my reading stack in the X genre than.
Why was this your first book of the week?
Because it was an event book, and I was like, oh, I'm curious about this event book.
Is it?
I didn't realize this was an event. I just thought it was a new book.
Yeah, it's just a new X book.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh no,
Apology
don't
accepted.
apologize. It's just clarification. This isn't like a
already
crossover
accepted
thing. It's just the new.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I thought it was along the lines of like, the Hellfire Gala, which is coming up, which is going to go through
Yeah.
different series.
Oh, okay.
No, this is just like an undescribed mini series. Like it could be 12 issues, it could be 20. It's just a new series, a new X series. Yeah.
But I'm not going to follow it. I don't care.
Okay.
I'm curious about the Hellfire Gala, but like as far as catching up, there are other X books that I'm behind on that I'm far more interested in catching up on, like Hellions and Marauders.
Oh, Marauders. Yeah, I haven't read it since the last one we read for the show. It was really
Which
good.
is like issue 4.
Long time ago.
Molly's chiming in the comments. Good morning. And then also Mars
Good morning.
Comics says, loving Nightwing.
Nice.
Me too, Mars.
Nice. I liked Way of X.
Tell us more.
Yeah, I will. So I just happened to scroll past the
Scroll?
not really scroll.
So I
Sorry, I was making a
while you
Marvel-
scroll.
Marvel joke. Never mind.
I liked it.
go on.
I like an elongated person. I just find that to be an interesting aesthetic. Like when people are very stretched out.
I'm gonna continue with my point if that's all you were gonna say.
That wasn't. But
I like an elongated person. 4 stars.
well, if you
He's
recall,
like drunk, almost like 4 stars.
yeah,
He's got long arms.
if you recall, I was like, well, I was just scrolling past. It was just meant to be kind of an offhand, or just a brief comment on the
It
way.
was more
to
than
what I
30
went
seconds
on.
ago. I don't recall. Carry on.
he's a goldfish.
I like that they brought up the Dunbar number. That's cool. Which I did not know by that name. The amount of people that anyone can hold in their mind as actual people.
Oh, yeah, that's right. 140, 127. Yeah.
150.
Yeah, I've heard 100 elsewhere, but I'm sure it's not an exact number. But 4.
I've got 4.
So it's the 3 of us right now, and no.
And he has no idea
Yeah, I'm
who's
about
in
to
the
say,
panel
and
next
2
to
of
him.
them should be his wife
Yeah.
and his son.
Yeah.
I just figured it changed.
I'm not even one
Whoever
of them.
was in front of me.
Go on.
Yeah, so that's cool, and I like the idea of Kurt trying to figure out this philosophy. I do absolutely feel like Nightcrawler can pull off his own book, and if there's a Nightcrawler book, like I'm already interested because it's Nightcrawler.
Here you go.
Yeah, he's cool. Like that opening scene in X2. Ooh, it's amazing.
I'm surprised that you didn't like this, JD, only because this is a horror book. This is a religious horror book. The way that it's the whole conceit of the book was that really, really cool / really, really disturbing ritual that they do on Krakoa to kill each other.
Yeah.
And that whole mentality has caused the younger mutants to not give a shit about death. And when you remove death, then horrific things are done to you and are willingly done, right? So like this whole, it was presented like a horror book. The fact that Pixie willingly gets her face I thought that this was eerie. I thought that this was really creepy. I thought it was incredibly contemplative, like in a good way.
Mhm.
I'm actually kind of surprised.
That's interesting. I saw it as like, oh, right, they don't need to, that's not a thing anymore, right? Like, it's not horrific because there's no long-term
and
consequence.
as a viewer that you do still fear death, it's horrific, or it's a horror movie trope to watch somebody just like stand in front of a shotgun like and poke at it. Like
So-
it's the pacing was a thriller.
You kind of stopped midway through the explanation of what you were talking about. So I think what Noel's talking about is in the beginning, a bunch of the younger mutants are doing a thing and on a mission, and they're talking about everyone's first time. And you kind of are supposed to assume that they're talking about like sex, like, ooh, having sex for the first time. But really what they're talking about is getting murdered. So
First
like
time
your
they die.
first
First time they die
time you
and get
die
reborn.
and coming back
Yeah.
and doing the resurrection protocol. I thought that was a really cool element of the story. I was also surprised. Brian, to answer your question from earlier a little bit better, I also read it because, and I forgot this, it was Simon Spurrier, who's one of my who's a writer that I'm really enjoying right now. And so I was like, oh, right, a new event book from Marvel, Cy Spurrier. I was only partly right about those two things. Cy Spurrier is the writer, but it wasn't an event book. So yeah, that's why I was disappointed that I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would.
Yeah, and I also like when you brought up the just like ruminations about, well, if there aren't any things, rituals supplied, rituals will be created, and this thing, this I forget what they call it, but like they have to get killed in combat to come back if they were one of the depowered mutants.
Yeah, they have to earn their earn their mutant abilities.
Which is I like how Woody always talks about like, oh, that doesn't matter so much as the fact that they are doing something. Is like something will fill the void to like bind this society together, and maybe you should come up with something better than this combat. Like, why would you do it that way? Like, what's wrong with you?
I also have an innate distaste for organized religion, so maybe that's part of the reason I don't really like Nightcrawler, or I don't care about Nightcrawler as much. Is like I grew up in an organized religion and came to my senses. No offense to anyone who hasn't come to their senses, but it's not for me. I think it breeds groupthink and mob mentality, and just doing things and then saying, "Well, I can just go in the confessional and do some Hail Marys, and I can do it the next week, and I'll be forgiven."
Well, that's just that one religion.
Yeah, that's my experience. Which
sure.
Yeah. So
yeah, I never cared much for that aspect of Nightcrawler's character, that he is like a priest, but it doesn't always come up, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that over the years, especially over the more recent times, is that at least the times that I've checked in with Nightcrawler, while the spiritual part of the character is often spoken about and explored to a degree, it's not necessarily always explored from that particular religion's point of view, or at least in commentary with or against that or about that, if you will. And I found that this issue was, to Noel's point, very contemplative. I thought it was a interesting, sideways look at this whole world that is being presented on Krakoa, and what is coming out of the mindset, especially of these kids there, and there being a search for getting a hold on exactly what it is, so that it cannot necessarily be dealt with, but so that it can be addressed in a way that is more fundamental and positive for them.
Are you talking about the rituals or the Patchwork Man thing?
I'm not necessarily. I'm talking about I'm just talking about
either or.
Okay.
Yeah,
Either
like
or.
when you remove the ultimate consequence, what does life mean?
Exactly.
Like
I never have bought into that. I think that's a sour grapes thing that we tell ourselves because of our mortality, right? There is some value in its end. And I'm not sure that it's necessarily
I think it's
value.
value. No, I'm trying to say that there's value in actually not letting it expire willingly or recklessly. Like when you have no fear of consequence, you treat everything without regard.
But if there is no legitimate consequence, then that's just something that humans used to have to deal with. You know what I mean? It's like jumping off, like in the Matrix, when you have to jump off the first time and fall. And he like slams into the ground, and he realizes like, oh, that doesn't matter anymore, you know.
But what I'm really trying to say is that I think the fact that this comic book invites just that level of dialogue just between the two of you, based on your readings of the book, it means that this book is doing something very interesting, because this is a conversation that Nightcrawler is seeing that is maybe not happening there on Krakoa, and maybe needs to, just so that and just so that people can see the other side, or at least have a concept of it. You know what I mean? And I actually found myself enjoying this. I liked it, and I like them doing this with Nightcrawler. I mean, Nightcrawler sometimes has been presented as this very swashbuckling character, or then sometimes he's been treated as this very meek character, and I think this is trying to meet him somewhere in the middle with his presentation in this new world order, if you will, of the X-Men universe. And I like it. And then just as a package itself, I thought that the artwork was very well handled. I thought that the way that Nightcrawler is conversing with all of the characters, whether it be the young kids, whether it be his speaking with Magneto or Dr. Nemesis or Professor X or whomever, I thought those were all interesting conversations to have. Do I think that this can be like a book that goes into the hundreds or something like that? I don't know. I don't care. But I like the idea that this book is there and taking the lessons of, I think one of the biggest lessons of Hickman's reimagining of the X-Men universe is to use these characters as a way to explore different questions within this Marvel bigger universe.
It's a very existential book. Like the theme of it is incredibly existential. Like, what is life when you remove death? What is equality when we are far superior? What is, it's all these very big questions.
And I think this book is a continuation of that. And I enjoyed it. I actually find myself enjoying it.
Nice. I like the ruminations on the, like, it's religion, but it's talking about religion and, the foundation of it, or how it holds societies together, or these shared things. And I like that it's examining that question as well. I'm interested to see what he has to say about it. I also found the interstitials to be, like, I was actually interested to read them, as opposed to some of the non-Hickman books where you're like,
there's no consistency to the interstitials across books. Sometimes they're punchlines, sometimes it's information, sometimes they're just grids that mean nothing. It's like, hey, we have a quota for interstitial pages. Let's just toss.
I don't do this kind of thing, but it's the style right now.
I like to put a cap on it. Like, I don't know. I don't know how long this could last, and or if this is just really interesting. It's just really
glad to hear it. That's awesome. I'm glad everyone else enjoyed it. I'm also well aware that it could have been. I'm a very sleepy man these days.
Sure. It was not a very active book.
Let's give you a contemplative comic book on 2 hours sleep.
The baby has been regressing recently, so we've had like half-hour chunks of sleep in that period. Last night we had a good 5 hours at a clip. But before that, the week before that, it was just like every half hour. You want to scream? Cool. Anyway, I'm gonna peace out because I have a newborn. I haven't read the rest of these books that I'm really excited to talk about or to read.
Yeah.
And I don't want them spoiled for me. So I love you guys, and I'm gonna peace out.
Very good.
So Noel's got it, Len's got it, Brian's got it, y'all got it.
We got it. I'm interested to hear what you think of the Flash, JD.
I'm interested to find out what I think about the Flash.
Yeah. Well, then we're all interested.
I got my second vax.
Oh, cool. Yes.
I'm excited about that. Oh,
nice.
All right. Love you guys. Bye.
Yeah.
Peace, man.
Let's rock the next book. This is going to be fast. Batman / Fortnite : Zeropoint #1. DC Comics. Written by Christos Gage with art by Riley Brown. This is a long one, so solicitation. So just bear with me.
Maybe it'll fill us in on what the book was about.
Right? A crack splits the sky above Gotham City, a tear in reality itself. This rift pulls the Dark Knight into a bizarre and unfamiliar world, with no memory of who he is or where he came from. Batman has been drawn into Fortnite. As he fights to recall his past and escape an endless loop of chaos and struggle, he'll come face to face with the likes of Renegade Raider, Fishstick, Bandolier, and more. While the world's greatest detective strives to make sense of this strange new world, he'll uncover the shocking truth about the island and what lies beyond the loop. How is everything connected to the mysterious Zeropoint? Batman/Fortnite: Zeropoint. #1, uncover secrets never before revealed in game or anywhere else. Every fan of Batman, Fortnite, stunning art, and edge of your seat excitement won't want to miss the Caped Crusader facing off against Fortnite champions on the island in a desperate attempt to save not only himself, but other familiar faces from the DCU and perhaps the multiverse itself.
I wonder. Probably not, though.
So that's the whole book. I've never played Fortnite. Yeah, it's more than was in the book. I've never played Fortnite. I don't really care.
Gamer. I don't really know about it at all.
This was hella popular because apparently, and like secondary markets are going crazy for it too. Because apparently, if you bought the issue, you got like a digital code for a skin of a character or some bullshit. So this is like fabricated sales. I don't know how many people were actually interested in reading this so much as getting like a FOMO experience for their gameplay. However, 90% of this book, I don't know what's happening. I don't care. The last beat with Batman and Catwoman was fantastic.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved as soon as they hooked up and like, because there's hardcore sex in here. As soon as they hooked up, no. As soon as
that's my favorite 3 pages.
So all of the characters that are pulled into this rift have no memory of who they are, but they do have muscle memory and they have emotion and feeling. So he not only knows how to fight, he just doesn't know how he learned it and blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about Batman.
Right.
He runs across Catwoman, recognizes we know each other, don't know how. We are close to each other, don't know how. We fight incredibly well together, don't know how. And then when they think everything is ending and burning around them, they have a moment together. And it's almost like it's an excuse to have a first kiss, first look kind of emotional moment with, you know, the love of his life. And it's super effective. So I wasn't enjoying any of this. And then I got to that last page. I was like, well done. Nice. Cool. But besides that, this was a waste of time and I didn't care.
See, I can't say that it was a waste of time, primarily because one, like it sounds like both of you, I know nothing about Fortnite except that it's something that as a geek I'm supposed to be at least aware of, and thus when you as a geek, you say that you're aware of it. If you're in the presence of other geeks, you can be like, oh, yes, I know of it. But when you're in the presence of non-geeks, it means you're supposed to be able to explain to them everything about it. And then I don't know. I don't know whatever. I just know it's Fortnite. That's all I know.
Situational awareness. That's all I got. Situational awareness.
Right. So with that being said, I went into it, you know, thinking that in my mind, I think Fortnite is some kind of video game-ish type of thing. I don't know. I could be wrong. Don't want to say it out loud. Let the other geeks come down, raining upon me. It's an RPG. Like, I'm sorry. So I know it's some type of game. So I go into it. It's like, okay, so Batman's going to enter in, and by way of the cover, I can see him and other people from his universe are going to enter into like this gaming universe, and they're going to be doing gaming things. Boom. All right. I know what it's hitting for. So the only aspect of it that I wasn't ready for was the one, he can't talk. Oh yeah. That's interesting. That's kind of interesting. Then 2, the whole, you know, muscle memory thing and all that type of stuff. And then 3, this is where I'm at a little bit of a loss because I don't know Fortnite, I don't know why I'm supposed to care about all these other people that are showing up who don't look like, you know, villains from a Dick Tracy comic strip to me. But I'm assuming they're from the world of Fortnite. So let's go. And they're going to be so they're going to go be banging it out and nobody's talking. That sounds video game-ish to me. So you can just fill in your own voice. So it's trying to put you into that headspace of video games. And Catwoman shows up. All right. I'm with this. It's kind of cool. The art is at least engaging enough that I can be wrapped up in that, if into nothing else. It looks very well animated, like the best video games nowadays look like. So, and like to Noel's point, the whole emotional beat that happens between Batman and Catwoman, you know, like that's catnip for me. So I'm like, I think so good. I'm with that. So it was fun. I had no problem with it. It was like, okay, it did what it's supposed to do.
Do you guys remember or know or familiar with the advertisements in the middle of DC Comics, mostly like for Snickers, but it's actually as like a small comic book. So like you're turning the page and you're like, this isn't the book anymore. This is fucking an ad for Snickers.
Right. If you're reading Batman, it throws you.
Subway or something. Yeah. I thought that this was going to be 30 pages of that.
Right.
And because it passed that bar, this was good.
Yeah.
And it was like a
honestly,
super low bar.
And honestly, it is 30 pages of that. Like if after that fadeaway at the end, it said, continue this story on Fortnite, at Walmart right now. You'd be like, okay, there's an ad, which is at the end of the day what the book is. So
yeah,
and a lot of Transformers is an ad,
right?
That was awesome.
What do you think, Brian?
So I found myself wondering, like, is there stuff that I don't know that I should know for this story? But I try not to let that kind of thing bother me, like, I don't know. They'll get to it. It was maybe could have used a little bit more explanation on the Fortnite side. Just like one line. But Batman doesn't know what's going on either. So me not knowing what's going on is maybe a choice, like a part of the experience.
Oh, somebody got the drop on Batman? Get the fuck out of here. Like that guy swung.
Yeah.
Literally like took 10 years swinging across buildings to just get the drop on Batman.
Yeah.
That was the first time in this book I was just like, all right.
But the one thing that I know about Fortnite that I've like kind of seen in the corner of my eye is like they have cool looking. That's how I look at things that I don't understand, that I don't know about them.
Just like with a really weird, like I just learned to wink face.
Yeah, I think I learned to wink.
Yeah.
They have a varied, cool looking characters that like I have no idea why they're so varied. Yeah, like that. But that looks cool, and I going through, like, there are a lot of appearances of those characters, but I didn't feel like, I don't know, there's a lot happening on each page, and not a lot of footing to be had. Although the art is really good.
The book does benefit from chaos.
Yes.
We're not expecting answers because no one's talking to anyone. So it's just chaos right now, and we only have one internal dialogue. And
I think that might be what the deal is with Fortnite, is that like people pop into this island and fight each other. Maybe what I mean?
These characters have names, so I'm sure they have backstories. As in the same way that Mortal Kombat characters have backstories. The game itself doesn't explore them, and it's not what the game's for. But they have backstories. Yeah,
those are always the parts of those games that I enjoyed the most. Was like reading the book about it.
Just reading Wikipedia.
And ladies and gentlemen, Noel just dropped the one and only reference to Mortal Kombat that will appear on today's spoiler alert.
Of course, then saying that makes it untrue.
There's a fighting game that premiered a fighting game movie that premiered this weekend that was awful.
Yes.
That's it. I had no.
It wasn't even like fun to watch. It was just boring as shit.
I also agree with you guys. The Batman Catwoman stuff was very cool. The art is like not standout, but very well done. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there's nothing that's like wow, but it's good. It's really good. And the way that he draws Batman is really cool. This old school bat line tied to a batarang. Yeah, that's fun. You guys, I found a Batman the Animated Series action figure that I totally forgot that I had. That was still in the box, and I was like, "You get this thing out of this box." You can see it right there, very small. There it is.
God. That was an internal tangent, and I appreciated it, which is what this book invites.
Yeah.
But
the Harley Quinn stuff, though, I felt was like, what is happening? And it not revisited. I'm sure it will be later, but I just could have done without that.
I care so little about this version of Harley Quinn.
Yeah, she's also she's like a little older school Harley Quinn.
I don't give a shit. So it sounds like we all tentatively kind of enjoy this book for what it is.
I'm not reading the second issue.
I was going to say, I'm not reading a second one. I'm not going to pick this up. I'm
if I come
happy
across
that
an article about it later,
I'm happy that people who like are going to bang down doors to get to this book, just buy something else at the shop also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe they'll read it and they'll like it and they'll buy another comic later.
That's why they do crossovers like this.
And they do a lot of this with Fortnite, right? Where there's like, I'm always seeing headlines like, this thing is coming to Fortnite, or this or that thing is coming to Fortnite. I don't know.
I mean,
Marvel apparently did a thing where
it was a Thor thing.
It played into it. Like what happened in the comics is why they were in the Fortnite, which is
there was
cool.
the Thor book crossed over into Fortnite.
Okay. Did you feel that was all right just reading the book? Like, you didn't feel like
there was
something?
You had to actually like read it somewhere else online or something. It wasn't in the book. I think there at one point it was printed as a backup, but there was no like dedicated book to it.
It was like part of the ongoing story.
What it was the whatever plot line for Fortnite. It took place between like issues 3 and 4 of Thor because it's Cosmic Thor and Galactus.
Right.
So it happened between the panels and didn't really matter. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, let's get to the book you want to talk about. Flash number 769 by DC Comics, written by Jeremy Adams with art by Brandon Peterson and David LaFuente. After an accident pushes Wally West into the time stream, the former Kid Flash lands in the body of his one-time partner, Impulse. Now, sprinting through the 30th century side by side with the mysterious and ridiculous Gold Beetle, Wally must uncover, that's what it says. Wally must uncover what's causing the destructive explosions that keep propelling him through time and the bodies of other speedsters. So before, I think Len and I should go before Brian.
Sure. Yeah. I get the sense you weren't as into it as I was. I
don't think anyone was as into it as you are. Like that's just possible. Across the board.
Yeah, for sure.
In any forum or any.
Yeah, I don't think the Flash
likes this more than you.
Well, the Flash is kind of reluctant at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I thought that this was a big old bucket of fine. It was just fine.
Ooh. All right.
It wasn't bad. I didn't dislike it. I enjoyed reading it, but afterwards I was just like, cool candy. It was just fine. I like Gold Beetle a lot, even though they gave her creepy eyes.
Creepy eyes.
Like she doesn't blink ever.
They're still images.
Every single still image of her is like wide-eyed and oh my god, like just like that, sequential storytelling that tells me that she has no other expressive emotion other than high voltage.
Wait. I was paging through it. Here's her squinting at something.
Enough. No. I'm not gonna play semantics with every single panel. Just the impression and her high energy was just like she was crazy.
I guess. I just happened to see a panel where she's got
and they were Google eyes
facial expressions. All right.
I'm wrong. I'm sorry. It was fine. This was fine. Right. This was on par with the last issue.
Yeah, absolutely, it was.
I thought this was silly. I thought it was really silly. It was bananas. It was bonkers. But for someone who's only dipped in and out of the Flash for the last few years, I thought it was fun. I liked Gold Beetle. I thought she was cool.
She was my favorite part. Yeah. She's my favorite part. And now that she's not going to be a part of the series, I don't care even more. Like
about the series, she might pop in later, judging by what they talked about.
I mean, she's probably going to be somewhere else. What they look like they're structuring is that they're doing a greatest hits of all the other speedsters.
Yeah,
right. Like even the next issue. So this little version of time, there's no impression that we're going to see it again, or it's going to be somewhere else, like it's not. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't.
Well, she and Wally have interacted in her past that is in his future. So presumably we'll see.
Yeah, there's reference to that.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun.
I loved all that stuff.
I thought it was having fun with
like
the whole
that?
time travel thing. I thought it was having fun with Impulse. I thought it was having fun with the Gold Beetle. I like the kind of like the switch up from the art styles of when you're in
That was cool.
Impulse world to
Mm.
when the actual Flash and Mr. Terrific and Green Arrow are checking out things. I thought that was kind of cool to kind of like that differentiation. I like that because both art styles were totally different, but definitely set in which gave you the true sense of place and time for the stories to be set. I like that it as serious as this situation is, because you know that it's serious based on some of the things that they're saying. It still is coming off with a light frothiness to it that I haven't seen in a Flash comic book in a long time, at least when I dip in and out of it. I like that it is still, while it is, like you said, give you a greatest hits of the speedsters through DC history, it's still very much I still hear Wally. So that I appreciated that because it easily could have got lost in like Impulse's voice or whatever. I don't know. It was fun. It was fun. Do I care enough that I'm going to continue reading Flash? No. But does this story look like something that might be an interesting trade to pick up? It's just a nice little standalone pocket of flashiness to have on my bookshelf. It's
like
certainly is sizing up
of
the Flash.
I would not
sizing up to be. Yes.
I would not be against that either. Just the idea of down the road, if I find out that this like 24 issues or whatever are, I would totally go back and read it like I am with Flash now. But why did this is not a nitpick, this is a genuine question. Why did Bart change size with Wally in him and not in him?
I think we are seeing a bit of like, we are seeing Wally because he's got red hair also.
So it's for the audience, not
I think so.
I think it's more for artistic point of view.
Yeah,
artistic.
That was my impression, because she looks at him and she doesn't know until he tells her that he's not Bart.
Usually when they do that, they show like, did they in the last issue? Did they show him looking in a reflection and seeing someone else? Because usually when they do that,
like Quantum Leap style. I think so.
Like they give you some sort of indicator.
Maybe they figured like, well, we got it from the last issue, but it could have used another one, just like let's see who I am kind of thing, and he looks in a reflection.
This is the wrong crowd to ask this because everyone knows everything about the Flash here. If you didn't have knowledge of like just mid-deep knowledge of the Flash and the Flash family, would you find this book entertaining?
I actually was thinking about that. So one of the things I noticed that I liked about this and about Green Lantern last week, which I also really loved, or 2 weeks ago, which I loved. They seem to do a nice job of like putting stuff in that is deep continuity, but without it being necessary to know. Like it could just be world building if you didn't. Like they mentioned Mopey in here, which is said in such a way that like that doesn't have to be a guy that ever appeared in any comic beforehand. He's just the third in a list of crazy things. She's like speedsters, somebody else, and even that Mopey guy. Like that could be somebody that didn't exist before. But he's from like 2 issues in the Silver Age. He's the reason that the Flash got his powers at one time. Like he caused it to happen. So I think you could read this if you weren't steeped in the Flash, and like you don't have to know who Bart is. This is just somebody that he's in another body. Like we didn't know who the first guy was,
there are references to Bart and Gold Beetle being in a different time. So even if you don't know who what he represents, or these characters represent to the Flash universe or the DC universe in general, you could just read it as, they've slipped into a future time.
Right,
this
exactly.
Is like the Flash of that future time. It certainly helps more to know who they are. It certainly deepens your enjoyment of it, and you're enjoying it on a totally different level. Which is something that I don't think, like, I think the average person can pick up a Superman, a Batman, a Spider-Man comic book, and no matter how deep the story may be in the lore of those heroes, they can kind of like pick up clues because so much of those heroes' worlds have become common to just the average person.
Even you know who Perry White is,
right?
He's talking to him,
right. It's either by way of the comics or by way of the movies. You tangentially know a lot of these things, not so much the Flash. So yeah, the average person picking it up might be a little lost, but the average person picking this up and used to the idea of comic books and comic book reading and how that's affected. And even if you're just bringing into it the whole idea of multiverses from the DC or Marvel movies, then I think you can still enjoy this and have fun with it as just a dumb, quirky comic.
Yeah, like if you're a DC reader, I loved this page where they break into the museum. Speaking of quirky comic, she's like the same way Bart's broken in a dozen times. And then the next page is the beetle just crashing through the roof. And she's like, by being impulsive. In the font.
I really like her character a lot. I want to see more of her. She was my favorite part of this book. And flipping through too, I think the David LaFuente art gets me there and I love it. I've never really been a giant fan of Brandon Peterson.
Oh, which one is which?
The in real time. Brandon
like
Peterson.
Barry and all of them.
All of his faces are the same, and all of like the physicality is essentially just like mannequins and models gesticulating.
Right.
Like there's very little kineticism in his book or in his art for the most part. I've never been a giant fan, but it's never been enough to be like, I will not read that. It's just always been like, oh, okay, all right. I mean, and it seems like the next issue is going to kind of be more him, I think.
No, I think that's
like
a different artist.
Well, they show like that last surprise panel is Brandon Peterson.
Oh yeah. Oh, and I love the Ray too, so that's cool.
I mean,
is that Brandon Peterson? I thought it looked like it was somebody else a little bit.
The foreground looks like it. I could be wrong. I don't know. It's just when you compare anything else to David LaFuente, it looks like everything else.
Well, that's true. That's very true.
I really like the Brandon Peterson art, but I agree. There is a lack of kinetic kind of feel to it, but I really like it.
He's always done that. Like I remember his run on Avengers. It was just like, all right, this is fine. Like it's serviceable and it's very pretty and statuesque. But when it's like action, it's just like it literally does look like he put dolls and traced and depicted them.
And I love the time stuff, right? Like I love the like put something in the time capsule so that you get it later. You didn't like the time stuff?
I don't dislike it. I just have a low threshold.
For time stuff in general, you mean?
I do, but I like it with limitations. It feels like when you keep overlapping in dialogue as well as in plot.
What do you mean?
So in here, it was like in dialogue, it was the kind of thing where she was just like, "Oh, you're Wally, and we're gonna do 15 more things, but that's in my old time frame, not in your old timeline. But we just met, but we didn't just meet because we like." I'm okay. Like
I'm super
I don't love that stuff. Well, it feels
every
okay.
second
So
of it.
I am also in the middle of reading for the first time all the older Flash stuff. So this just feels like constant the same thing for me. Speed Force is broken, time back and forth. Speed Force is broken, time back and forth. Speed Force is broke. It's either sentient or it's reacting or it's malfunctioning or it's just. If you love this, you love this.
Yeah.
It's really good in peaks, but at a high level, especially because I'm reading the old stuff at the same time, it's a lot of samesies, and I just don't care.
Yep. See, that's one of the things that I've been thinking while reading this and some of the other DC stuff is like, oh, at last, back to the stuff that has been missing for so long. But I haven't been just reading the Jeff Johns stuff, And it also, to another point that we've talked about, this seems to be very connected to where the Justice League is at the moment. You know, I mean, very connected in the sense that they have some of the same. You know, Mr. Terrific has just been brought in. He's not. They just like called him in because he's a smart guy, and it's Barry and Ollie are there. And I also really like how they handle Barry being in it. Like Wally is the focus, but Barry's also in it. And you know, at least for this first arc, I like their interactions too between Barry and Ollie, and to a lesser extent, Mr. Terrific, Michael Holm. I love the speed lab too under the museum. That's fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Gives them a place to chill. You know.
Yeah, it's kind of. I mean, like I say, it's silly fun.
And I just, as far as the time travel stuff goes, like I just like that stuff. Like anytime a story is like talking about world lines and time and whatever, I'm just like, yes, let's think about that kind of thing for a little bit.
You're with it. All right, I feel you.
Yeah. So great. Yeah, I'm. It's another DC book that I'm just like really into.
Sorry, I had a surprise visitor. I was on mute that whole time. I have no idea what you guys said, but Flash, yay, thumbs up.
Yes, we're on to the next book.
Excellent.
So I don't presume we'll take too much time on this next book because it's basically just for me, just like how Flash was for
Avengers.
Brian. Yep. Avengers number 45.
Flash was also for Len. Len, I was happy to be wrong. When Gold Beetle showed up in that future state backup, you were like, I hope she appears. And I was like, Len, I don't think she's going to. I got to break it to you. That's great.
I do not remember. I mean, I don't remember that conversation at all. I was mainly just for you because behind the sausage curtain, for everyone listening, we have a group chat, and every time we talked about like books to read, Brian was in there very not so subtly like, there's also the Flash. I remember reading this Flash this year where Flash was also Flashy Flash of Flash. Do you guys want to talk about the Flash? I think other people want to talk about the Flash, right? You want to talk about the Flash? He said yes.
Well, the Gold Beetle thing too. Where are we going to run across her again? Hopefully soon.
It was very apparent that you were very excited about this book.
I absolutely was.
Yeah. So we talk about it. Yeah. Avengers number 45. Written by Jason Aaron with art by Luca Maresca. The Avengers join the battle against the King in Black. The year's most epic event explodes in the pages of Avengers. The vampire hunter Blade has been at the forefront of the fight against the dark symbiote god, but now he must pay a dark price that will change his world forever. So, I'll let you guys go first. Everyone had a chance to read this?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And no one else is reading the full series but me, right?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay. Who would like to go first?
I'll go. Reading this book
was telling.
Well. First of all, I think that blurb that you just read, the preview, is very misleading because while this is about the King in Black, it's not really about the King in Black. This is kind of like King in Black Avengers epilogue. This is what this is.
The fight. They were the primary fighters in the whole thing.
Right, but this is very much after that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Despite the logo being on the cover, despite the cover, it is very much after that. This is actually the epilogue to King in Black preview to whatever is coming up next. You know what I mean? So this is that lull, which is usually happens in all the great comic books. This is that kind of like book
classic
in between.
6 issue? Are we going to say
exactly?
Classic issue?
Exactly.
56 issue.
This is what it is. This is what it is.
Sorry, classic 7th issue?
Right nowadays, right. The classic 7th issue, meanwhile on the 3rd floor. That's exactly what this is. And
Wait,
so
troubles are brewing over here.
Right.
Meanwhile on the 3rd floor.
Because meanwhile on the 3rd floor, they're all chilling. They just got back. The Quinjet just landed. And now they're like, oh my God, let me go get some grub. Oh, I gotta go. I gotta train. All this stuff. T'Challa's got to catch up on all his busy, check his Google schedule. Oh my God, I'm gonna map this out. Captain America is doing his training in his costume. Like, why are you doing laps in your costume? They have
he wants to be used to the weight of it,
which is exactly what I said to myself. I was like, Why is he running around in his costume? Oh, because he's going to be running around in his costume. Okay, I see you. It's not like you had the mask on, so you're letting the sweat fly. I see what you're doing, Steve. All right, I'm with you. Continue on. So then we moved on. Then you've got spiders jumping all in the back and just whipping all in the background and stuff. You've got you've got a nice little intro into who's going to be the new Avenger with Echo and Ghost Rider, having like a cool tete-a-tete. You've got a surprise visit from Batman in this issue. Oh, I mean Nighthawk. I mean, so it's at the end of the day. You've got the Universal Monsterverse that's stepping into this by way of Dracula comes in at the end, right? So I'm like, what the
which I think
bad
is
hell?
like a long running thing.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, you're right. They've been kind of like sprinkling that in, kind of like seeding it all along, and they actually show you the breadcrumbs through this story very well. I have to admit, they kind of like tell you how we've gotten here without it being some long drawn out thing. All that being said, it all led to a comic book that, again, quelle surprise, I found myself having a lot of fun with. This was like just a cool look at the Avengers. I'm not sure if I 100% would have ever seen this lineup of Avengers put together, but it works. I like it. I'm not even one. I'm someone who still capes for John Byrne's She-Hulk. Yet this new She-Hulk is growing on me. Every time I see her all over the place, she's kind of growing on me. I'm kind of digging her. I like that Black Panther, the exalted area level that he has in the Marvel universe. I've always been like very happy, and I like to see that has continued, because my cynical eyes have always just been waiting for that to plateau, and then all of a sudden he's just going to get knocked down low, because I've seen it happen in the past. I like to see that has not happened. I like the Ghost Rider. I like Blade. Blade is somehow kind of working in here. I like even what they're doing with Dracula in this, and part of what Dracula is saying, even though he doesn't mean it, but the way he's coming out at it, he's got like this Magneto vibe where he's talking, and you're like, it kind of makes a little bit of sense, you know what I mean? But underneath the cape, what shit is brewing. But it's still, what he's presenting, he's smart with it. This was fun. I enjoyed it.
I liked it too. I like those issues where people are just like regrouping, hanging out after some big thing. Those can be fun, nice issues. Like a slice of life kind of deal. And I don't know what's going on with this at all, other than King in Black, and like we read one of the Moon Knight Khonshu issues for the show. But it was fun. Kyle Richmond is black. Is that a Secret Wars thing? He was not always black, right?
Well, Nighthawk was. I don't know when that started. Nighthawk was black when they years ago. I think Nighthawk was black, but that was like
that was Supreme Power,
or his side thing,
not part of the regular Marvel universe,
right? Which I think they may have somehow retconned it into this. I don't know.
I think there have been different Nighthawks, at least, that have come over from like different other universes.
He's a shitty right center politician in this version.
Oh, interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah. So one of the cooler things about this is the Black Panther he's the head of the Avengers. He's the president of the Avengers. I don't know the leader of the Avengers.
Chairman, I think they call him.
Yeah, there you go. He is treating it explicitly like a government.
Mhm.
He approaches it just like he approaches the monarchy. Everything is they are all ambassadors. He has meetings with other countries. Like it's being treated like not just a strike team, but an actual like United Nations organization that is, blah blah blah. So like the way that they've approached how the Avengers function in this world is super fascinating. But during the Phoenix arc, when they all had to like be paired up against each other and fight, Nighthawk and Black Panther fought, and most of it was them jabs at each other, like political, socioeconomic jabs at each other, and how they choose to lead. It was really, really fascinating.
That's cool. I like the conversation between the current vessels of Ghost Rider and Phoenix. It was pretty cool. Like this long sort of history with them that they're kind of aware of, Is she deaf?
Kind of like
Echo?
avatars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Echo is hearing impaired. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. She.
Deaf is not an offensive term, is it?
No.
Oh.
But I don't know. I don't know the I don't know the severity of her deafness.
Oh, okay.
So she's just hearing impaired.
I gotcha.
I don't know that much enough about it. She has a skill set not unlike the Taskmaster where she could mimic and master all fighting styles when she's able to see them. But
why is she the Phoenix? Like, what's so great about her? That is it just like the Phoenix chose her, and is she like particularly well temperamented to being the Phoenix?
It was all in the last arc. They had a big old tournament who gets the Phoenix, and the Phoenix eventually chose her. There was a whole scenario given about like the understanding of power with the absence of it, and blah 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 blah. But it chose her as a permanent host for the time being.
Oh, also, what's up with Captain America's like red mask over it, like a ventilator type mask? It's just in this one scene. What's that? Because
they're at Chernobyl.
Oh, it's radioactive.
So what I very much liked about this issue, other than it being a nice little prologue to King in Black, we read issue 5 together, right? King in Black issue 5. In that, like, they got the Vampire Nation to help fight the King in Black, but then they turned on Blade, and he was like, "Motherfucker, it's you forgot what time it is," and the sun came down.
That was an awesome moment.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It was great. Like the one thing I have that you don't is like watch, and neither. Yeah. But that was an act of war. Because in previous arcs of Avengers, there was this big Vampire Nation war where Blade ended up being on the team, and they were granted immunity, refuge. What's the term I'm looking for? Where they're just given land, quick, like temporary asylum. They're given asylum in Chernobyl because it's uninhabited and it doesn't affect them, doesn't affect anyone else. They're there. So that like it's pulling threads from the Avengers, it's pulling threads from other events, and it's setting up a bunch of other stuff that's happening, but it's still just a get together issue, and it was just constructed so cool. So and again and also the final page, I was just fucking Sheriff Blade of Vampire Nation. Like, this is awesome. This is absolutely awesome. I would watch this. But this was a cool 7th issue, one of those in-betweeners, because the Avengers title goes on hiatus for like 3 months now.
Oh, is it up next is the Heroes Reborn stuff?
Yeah. Okay. So all the Heroes Reborn stuff is coming out. So the Avengers book, Thor, and something else are just disappearing during Heroes Reborn.
There's an ad in the back here for that, and the Iron Man color things like that look like their version of Iron Man in this world looks pretty cool. We should read that. We should read maybe the whole series.
It's an 8-issue weekly.
Oh yeah.
So
it'd be cool.
So it might turn into Thunder Rounds, but I'd be down if you guys are down.
Cool.
But yeah, I thought this was a cool little entry point. There's enough breadcrumbs here if you want to go back or go forward, but it's also a very accessible one issue if you're just kind of wanting to dip your toe in Avengers right now. So I thought it was kind of fun. That's all.
Indeed.
Is this the regular artist?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. Something told me.
No, but it has been like a murderer's row of artists since Jump. There's been no slouch. I mean, that depends on how much you like or dislike Ed McGuinness, but there hasn't been a bad arc, art wise.
Okay, cool.
Sweet.
All right. So
Hey. Yeah.
We'll do a couple of thunders, but
Thunder
before that,
round. What's happening before that?
Brian.
Is it some information? Yeah. What's up?
yeah, it's a little bit of information. If
Ooh.
anybody wanted to support the show in any way, shape, or form, how
Sweet.
could they do something like that?
Well, I don't know about any way, shape, or form, but if you want to give money at patreon.com/Johnny Destructo, that would be great. You can also subscribe in the ways of the platform that you view us on, YouTube, Facebook, whatever it is. If you're listening to one and you prefer the other, switch next week. It's available. Yeah. And just tell people about it. People that that like comics or might be interested in hey, I like comics, but I don't know where to start. We review a lot of number ones and that kind of thing. So just say hey, check these guys out.
Also, always remember that you can email us if you don't want to jump in the comments or on other social media. Just email us at jdsherocomplex@gmail.com. Ask any question, make any comment that you'd like, and we'll address it on the show.
Cool. And,
right.
they also, with JD's Place, they do a book club and movie club every Tuesday night, right? So they do that virtually now on JD's Hero Complex Facebook page. I think JD's Hero Complex Book Club is how you can get on that, and they talk about a movie or a book, graphic novel, alternating every week. So if that's the kind of thing you're into.
Yeah, this week we're talking about Alienated.
Which you really liked, right? You and JD both loved that book. Yeah.
Yep, we did.
Nice.
And we're gonna see if 20 other people liked it.
Yeah.
On Tuesday.
Almost a guarantee that somebody will be that they didn't like it, and it'll be fuck.
There's always somebody. Sometimes it's me that was just like,
right. Yeah.
All
That's
right.
how it goes.
So let's knock out a couple thunders. I'm looking at the time, and I know that there's still a couple of books. We'll plow through some, so we can maybe talk about 5 minutes at least about Captain America, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So let me pull up my notes. We've got Firefly brand new verse number 2. Who would like to do that one?
Not me. I didn't read it.
Am I the only one that read it?
I think so.
I'll do it.
I did read it, but I don't know if I'm well versed enough in the world of Firefly. Well, okay, look, all right, 30 around. 30, start the clock.
That's your 30 seconds right there. Hang on, let me start the clock. Let me for 30 seconds or more. Let me talk about why I don't necessarily sure I should read it. All right, and here we go.
Firefly brand new verse is exactly what it describes, ladies and gentlemen. It is a brand new universe of Firefly, that very, very cult favorite series of really a long time ago. And it doesn't pick up where that story led off. It ended with the movie finale of that universe, which was Serenity, but it does pick up with some of those characters, specifically the character that was played by Gina Torres, and it's moved on into her future. She now has a daughter. She's got a whole new crew. They've got a whole new mission in this universe, and this book is kind of like an introduction into that universe. It touches on a little bit what have happened with some of the characters from the TV series and movies, but while introducing you into a whole new crew. And if I'm being a little bit ambiguous about what that crew is all about, is that I invite you
End of round.
Sorry.
I invite you to we'll never know.
Pull up the book. It's a fun book. I actually enjoyed it.
Gina Torres, that you mentioned, that her character was the second in command. To watch that one. Yeah.
Yes.
Are they still on the Serenity? Is she now in command of the Serenity?
It's not the Serenity. It's a different ship.
Okay.
Is it?
I thought it was a different ship. I could be wrong.
Same ship.
Okay, there you go. It's the same ship.
Yeah, it's just she's the her and her daughter are the co-captains of this new crew. It's accessible, but it also calls back a lot. So yeah, it is a cool, like if you watch the show, it's a cool little series.
Oh, that's cool.
And then we've got which one did you read?
I read
Brian?
Justice League.
You only read Justice League? Let's do it.
Out of these. Let's do it. All right.
All right, and go.
Oh, I love this book. I really like the art. The storytelling is like interesting. I like the way that it looks like it's going to go, and I like the lineup of the league that we've got and the interactions between them. The kind of character analysis of Superman when he says to do anything, and if anybody disagrees, it's like you're disagreeing with Superman. And Green Arrow's like, all right, so now I look like the bad guy because I'm disagreeing. It is, like Len said earlier, it's Bendis-y, and before this book, I was like ready to go in and be like, well, I don't know, maybe Bendis is a little past his best days. And I read it, and I loved it. It was a fun ride, and I'm looking forward to it continuing and see where it goes.
You have 10 seconds left. Do you want to talk about
10
anything
seconds?
else?
Oh,
well,
boy.
now it's 5.
Just
4,
talking about it is
3.
taking the clock down. I don't know why it's
All right.
Hippolyta instead of...
End of round.
Oh.
End of round.
Well, I think it's Hippolyta because if you're reading Wonder Woman, she's not in this world right now.
But I was going to say Nubia.
Oh, so that was actually addressed in Infinite Frontier.
Yeah, I just thought that Nubia was coming in, and then in Infinite Frontier, I was a little mystified. I was like, I thought Nubia was going to be Wonder Woman while Diana was doing this. And we've seen Hippolyta. So, I mean, she's cool. Don't get me wrong, but Nubia's in charge of Themyscira.
Yeah, she's
right?
the steward of Themyscira and all things Themyscira. She's the new queen, while Hippolyta is essentially walking the earth to learn a lesson. Yeah,
makes sense if you are Hippolyta, or like if you live in that world. I just don't know why story-wise why they did that. I like what Glenn was saying. Like, it's fun.
This team is cool.
Yeah,
I enjoy this book a lot. What did you think? Both Len and Brian, did you guys enjoy the backup?
I didn't read it. In fact, I didn't quite realize. I read like the first 3 panels, and I was like, "What the hell is happening?" This thing goes from like Naomi, and then the next panel, I think they're just back at. I thought they just left her there on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, well, she's got to figure it out by herself. Is basically what they say, but they're talking about something else.
Yeah, it definitely is a split in the comic book where you need like a little a movie ad or something. kind of like break it up because it catches you unaware because it's still, even though the backup is about Justice League Dark, it starts with close-ups of the heroes that you've been just visiting and talking to, and they were someplace else. I did read it. And mostly because those heroes got me into it. So it worked. And I thought it was kind of interesting. I still don't know how much I care about Justice League Dark. I hate the name. But it was
Justice League edgy.
Right. But for what it was, I mean, like, I'm like, all right, whatever. It's whatever.
Yeah, no, I had the same experience. I was just like, this wasn't bad. I still don't care.
Right.
They went to go get the Justice League's permission to do something.
Right.
But I don't know what it is, and I don't really care.
Is it? Yeah, see, I want to read it, but I didn't get to the back. I found myself just not reading the backups, even if I'm interested. But I didn't read the one from the last issue. So I was like, well, I want to read that before I get to this.
And the thing that really pisses me off about this, though, is because, like I said, I don't like the name Justice League Dark, right? But in my mind, I always just wrap my head around, okay, I don't like the name Justice League Dark, but that's just their branding for this book.
Right.
But with all of these heroes, like Noel said, basically going to the Justice League for permission to doing what they're doing, which is kind of like, well, if we're carrying your brand, we're asking you for the approval. Can we do this? Right. Which now makes me think that they're calling themselves Justice League Dark, which makes me hate it even all the more.
We're an official franchise, so we wanted the corporate permission to go on this mission. Thank you.
Justice League International days.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, if they were just called like Shadow Pact or something, like they're a cool group together. They just.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird. I love the magical side of the DC universe. So
I love it. in minis and stuff. I've never been able to hold on to
Did you
a
read
series,
Demon
an
Knights
ongoing.
ever? It was one of the original New 52 books. It was really good and probably would hold up because it's not tied to any other continuity. Really, it just
It
takes
was
place.
a part of the New 52.
Yeah, it was one of the initial books. It was like it kind of set out as the Stormwatch from the Wildstorm universe.
Mhm.
The idea was that this was the founding of Stormwatch, but they didn't even call themselves Stormwatch at the time. It just like eventually would become that, and that was just kind of never referenced because it took place in the past. But
a DC title launched in 2011 as a part of the company's line-wide relaunch. Etrigan, Madame Xanadu, and Shining Knight.
yeah. And like Vandal Savage was on the team, and they were like a number of immortals who like had known each other for a while.
Wow, Paul Cornell. I like. Paul Cornell.
Yeah. And like I said, it's not tied to any other continuity, so you could really just pick it up. It takes place like in the 1200s or something like that.
Maybe.
If you ever got the urge.
Cool.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm always looking for new things to read because that was a really bad joke because I've got stacks of shit
I'm about
to
to
read.
say.
Yeah.
I knew where it was going.
Yeah, like I'm in the process of moving into a new house, and the books are the worst part because it's just stacks of shit, and you can't pack them very well. It's like 3 books a box, so you have 400 boxes.
The very like the omnibuses that are like. You know what I did this time?
Really cool idea at the time.
Yeah, and they look nice once they're unpacked. I with my books, because there's always like that little bit of the box that's left that no book will fit into. I started putting knickknacks that were like, fairly hardy, not too breakable in there. Yeah, worked out pretty well.
Oh yeah, no, that's a solid trick. I want to squeeze Old Guard. Tales Through Time was cool.
Okay.
If you like the series, I'll fly through it. They were cool little one shots or in between the panels kind of stories. If you're a fan of the previous trades, which I highly recommend, they're great. This is a cool series.
Or the movie.
Yeah, the movie's fantastic too.
Yeah, I still haven't seen the movie, and I was reluctant to.
The movie and the book are different enough. Like the mythology is different. The characters are the same, but the situations are different. So you could do one, other, both. It's not a one for one.
Cool.
Yeah, and also both written by Greg Rucka. So like the changes that they made are changes he wanted to make.
He wrote the movie? I didn't know that. Oh, that's awesome.
He had a hand in that. Yep.
That's cool.
All right, so let's plow through the next 2 books. The Many Deaths of Laila Starr, #1 by Boom Studios, written by Ram V with art by Felipe Andrade. A powerful new series for fans of The Wicked and Divine, The Dreaming by Ram V and Philip Andrade, that explores the fine line between living and dying in Mumbai through the lens of magical realism. With humanity on the verge of discovering immortality, the avatar of death is fired and relegated to the world below to live her now finite days in the body of a 20-something Laila Starr in Mumbai. Struggling with her newfound mortality, Laila has found a way to be placed in the time and place where the creator of immortality will be born. But will Laila take her chance to permanently reverse the course of history/future, or does a more shocking fate await her? What did you guys think of this, Len?
I was very pleasantly surprised by this comic book that it actually sucked me into the world. I knew very little about any of these characters because I don't read The Wicked and Divine, even though I've heard great things.
Wait, no, I don't think it.
Well,
Wait,
but I know that I meant the creators. I'm sorry, the creators are some of the creators behind that. But I started reading this, and first of all, I love that it was taking place outside of America, so I love that. I love the character designs. I love the perspectives, like the first person narrative, of death. In this, I love the illustrations. I love the pacing. I felt myself just enthralled with the story, and I thought it was just very cool. I think it could get it speaks of themes, life and death and immortality that could get very heady, but it doesn't go there. It deals with young millennials, so it could be kind of like maybe not for me in tone, but it doesn't go there. It could have been very fluffy, but it doesn't go there. The art is dynamic, but it's not off-putting, and it doesn't get in the way of the storytelling. So I love that. I loved actually every single solitary aspect of this book, and I was not expecting that when I saw the cover, which is good, but it just was like, I don't know if I'm going to dig this. And I found myself just reading this book and really like pleasantly surprised by where it went. It took me. There's a beat that happens near the end that I was like, oh, didn't see that coming. Should have, but I didn't. And thank you for giving me that, because I was pleasantly surprised, and now you've hooked me. Good comic book.
I totally agree with like pretty much all of those points, except I think I was expecting to like it a little bit more than you were. But yeah, I loved it. Like you were mentioning the art style, it's done in a very illustration style, like not particularly realistic, but very nice. Like not like sometimes art like that can be a little off-putting, and like the proportions are not what you would expect from a human or whatever, or like legs are drawn in an unusual way, but it's really good. The use of color is really good.
Yeah.
It's a fun thing, certainly not the first time it's ever been done, but to do like characters from mythology sort of in more modern circumstances, right? It's like she works in an office building, and she's using her 6 arms to like do her makeup and whatever, and like the head guy is, he has 3 faces and a lotus floating over his head, but he's also in a suit and he's in a glass-walled office, that kind of thing. Yeah, and and I love mythological stuff anyway. I don't know as much about Indian, like Hindu mythology, as I do about some other ones, but I like it. It's really cool to see that stuff explored. And yeah, the art. I just happened to come by the scene where one of the many deaths of Laila Starr when she runs in front of the truck, and it's very active, right?
Yep.
And that's cool. I also didn't see that last twist coming.
No.
With how she is coming back, and that there would be another entity that she had some history with. Really cool comic. I was sitting here debating, do I want to read it in issues? It would also be very nice to display in a trade, right? So maybe I'll just have to do both.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you guys at all. Like this was a at first it was off-putting because the first third is incredibly chaotic. And it was late at night, and I was just like, I wasn't feeling like the first third of this book, because it was flashing. It was ephemeral, and then it was specific, and then it was like flashing back and forth.
Yeah.
And the art style wasn't really differentiating too much, other than big blue lady with 6 arms. But other than that, it was first handful of pages was difficult to get like my footing. But then it started to click, and it started to roll, and it was like, oh, this is fascinating. But I also feel like I don't know if I want to read this in issues. This might be a really, really great like book club, 5 or 6 issue story, right?
Also, I wanted, I really, as you can see, I've got like stuff on bookshelves now, and I never used to have my graphic novels displayed that way. And looking over at a bunch of white comic boxes is cool, because you're like, oh, I got so many comics, but you can't see them in there.
That's right.
And it's nice to have like the things that you want to think about and remember the most sitting out, and it's cool. Like I want to get a Wonder Woman Dead Earth, I think. Molly, also, yes, I too, a shout out to JD's Hero Complex, where he allowed me to take away his recycling for a few weeks. But I always feel like I'm almost stealing from him. But it's like I'm actually reducing his amount of work. But
in the chat, we're having a side conversation about the right types of books or the right types of boxes to pack your books in, and we're just like going back and forth.
Well, a number of us have recently moved or are about to move. But I really like. It's interesting though. You said there wasn't much differentiation in the art. I wonder if you could look at that as being like, well, this is part of the world. Like it's all part of the same world.
I mean, sure. Yeah. But in that first third, when I have no grounding, it just was more chaotic than anything else. In hindsight, it was fine.
Cool. Yeah.
We're just talking about like points of entry, kind of a conversation.
Yeah, sure.
See, but I like that because in the beginning, that back and forth, which I like, actually sets you up for later in the story when it again goes back and forth as Death is taking hold of her place here in our world, and it again goes back and forth. All right, I'm ready for where it's going. I just enjoyed every aspect of this. I saw that Mars Comics in the chat said this book was my favorite book of the week.
Nice.
The Many Deaths of Laila Starr was so interesting, and Mars agrees with me. I liked every single solitary aspect of this book, and I too, just like you guys, yes, I have moved on to the trades, and this is a book that I read this first issue, and I was like, oh, this is going to be so cool when you get the whole thing together, right? This reminded me of Day Tripper, which we did for book club not too long ago. Is a book that sure was released in single issues and you could enjoy, but it is just that much more meaty and of an experience as one whole piece. And I
similar art style too.
Right. Well, yes, definitely. And I definitely see this being one, and I am looking forward to this in trade. So yes, that is my way of saying that I will be reading no more single issues of the Deaths of Laila Starr until the trade is released.
So look forward to issue number 2. We're gonna have a 2-hour deep dive on one issue of a comic book, and Len is just gonna sit there. All right,
Action Figure Expert has a very interesting question. I don't know if you want to go there.
Yeah, sure.
Well, you went there. He says, "Hey, do you believe in life after love? I can feel something inside myself, but it does not feel strong enough, though. Do you believe in life after love?"
Well, I believe it was the Prophet Cher who brought this up the first time.
Is that actually the lyrics to that song? I never knew the lyrics to the song.
I wondered if, as you were reading it, I'm like, he knows, right?
To be clear,
after love.
I do believe in life after love.
So do I.
I guess you'd kind of be a fool.
Thank you, Action Figure Expert. It was something.
I am living after love.
There you go.
There you go. It was something important that we probably had to address.
Excellent.
Anyway, last book of the week is Women of Marvel #1, and with art by really everyone. So the reason why I didn't put actual credits in this is because I'm going to read the solicit, and the solicitation is literally just a who's who of everyone that's on this book. So I figured it'd be easy.
Gotcha.
So the future is female. Get in on the ground floor with the amazing assembly of writers and artists from all over entertainment. Comics legends Louis Simonson kicks things off with a must-read introduction. Nadia Shamas punches the glass ceiling with the Jade Giantess. Elsa Stungensen grits her way to the front of the line with Captain Peggy Carter. Sophie Campbell goes feral with the bone-grinding Marrow story. Video game and comics writer Ann Toole makes her Marvel debut in a blaze of glory. Natasha Altieri of Heathen fame charges sword first into the Marvel Universe with astonishing art from new and established artists like Kizama, Eleonora Carlini, Skylar Patridge, Joanna Estep, and more. You're sure to come away powered up and ready to slay in high heels or boots alike. So this was an anthology book. It was an anthology book, but more so than other anthology books that we've read recently, this feels more like a YA kind of anthology book or just more, I want to say like just a highlights or a who's who kind of anthology book. So a lot of these stories are 1 to 2 pages. They're like punchlines. Some of them land, most of them don't. For me,
yeah. I saw them
but
as
the
little
artist-
ditties. Each
Little
they're
ditties.
like a book of ditties.
Yeah, they're like little cute one-liners or
Yeah.
jokes. So it makes me think that maybe the primary audience for this wasn't necessarily normal comic book readers, but like 8 or 9-year-old boys and girls, which
Well,
is
if you
totally
look also
fine.
at the back, I didn't notice this at first, but there's a bunch of comics that are coming out that I think are presumably written by these people or other women. And so, yeah, I think that is like, hey, check this out, and here's some other stuff of ours that you might be interested in if you wanted to purchase this comic, you know?
Well, I think the idea of the book, even though Noel said it has like a bit of a YA vibe to it, and I don't know if I 100% disagree with that, but I certainly don't think that that's what they're going for. I think they're just going for the female fan, the woman of Marvel. But if you read the opening intro by Louise Simonson, who not only goes over her touch on her own history with Marvel, but Marvel's history in general, with from its very beginning, and its struggle with respecting and then servicing and building its audience of women fans, as far as reading the books and also behind the books and creating it. I thought that was very cool. And when you look at this book from that point, from that vantage point, from the vantage point that her intro gives you, then this becomes just a window into how far Marvel has come along, as well as giving you a taste of what Marvel has become, as well as far as the many different women who pocket its universe, which very surprisingly, and some might say smartly, are inside the covers, between the covers, are not the most popular or widely known heroines of the Marvel universe. They leave them for the cover, at least the main cover.
We talked about this ahead of time. Let's talk about the cover a little bit. They are like
the main cover by Sarah Pichelli, right?
Other than Gamora, there's Elektra, Storm, Valkyrie, Shuri. Probably the Invisible Woman is also on the cover, but she's invisible.
Just don't know, right?
Right. None of them are in the comic.
None of them.
Right. Well, maybe the Invisible Woman is, but she's not important to the stories.
Yes, you can tell yourself she's the thread that ties all the stories together.
She's observing all of this.
Very true. Very true. But she's not in any of the stories. And like you said, they are I like your word, ditties. They are like little ditties that feel really strange, like from Lady Deathstrike to getting her nails done, and then contemplating how she's going to get her keys. First of all, contemplating Lady Deathstrike, it looks like she's about to jump into a Hyundai is the first thing that I'm thinking of.
That's true.
But then too, which I thought was very, very, very much a woman moment, because I've shared this woman moment with friends of mine this weekend. Death scrolling through social media and finding her way to her version of a what's it called, like a warm blanket. Oh
yeah, the weighted blanket.
The weighted blanket. She finds her
down. Yeah. That was cool.
That was cool. It was like, I was like, you know what? this is cool. Like if this was the only thing, I would be like, this is kind of dope. You know, so are they dumb, silly stories? Yes. Do they carry a whole lot of weight to them? No.
Well, they're only 1 or 2 pages. You know, what I mean,
they're
what
one
can
or
you
two
expect?
pages, maybe at most 3 or 4. Like the Misty Knight one, it's got a few pages. The She-Hulk
and
versus
I think
the Rhino.
where they reanimate the dinosaur bones.
Yeah, right.
I like at the end of that one, Mystique is like, "You're not even a mutant." Like,
right.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? I thought so. It's kind of cool. It's kind of dope. And then I love the end where you get a blog piece by Angelique Roque, who I always say her last name wrong, and now she's going to kill me because I've actually met Angelique on more than one occasion. But I know how to say her first name, Angelique. But she is.
That was easy.
That's the easy part. You know, I always want to call her like Rocher. I want to say Angelique Rocher. That just sounds so fly. And she is fly. She is like a super dope chick. So if this is not the way to pronounce your name, Angelique, I'm going Angelique Rocher. That's how you are in my ears until you tell me.
The little trill in the R. That's
cool. Right. Yeah. But she does a nice little piece and in the end about and it's just a written piece about her experience with female representation in Marvel Comics. And then I think she actually does write the piece that kind of highlights what's coming up from Marvel, because I know she works at Marvel now. She's been there for a few years as like a host and a consultant on the side. So I thought
I read this before this beginning part, the Power Pose thing. I just read the very beginning, and I gotta say, I like that. You know, they say you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but I have long said, like, well, what else do you judge it by when you pick it up, right? Like, right. I like that she makes that point. That's cool.
Yeah, no, it's pretty dope. I for what it is, I actually have no problem with this. And to me, as superficial as this whole thing might be, it has much more resonance for me than DC's Valentine's Day anthology.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
This while being little ditties actually means and represents something. So I'm here for it. It's cool.
And I think also I think one of the reasons that they were so short, I'm just guessing, is they wanted to show as many as possible.
Right.
Look at all of the different women that we have. If you want to read something with a woman in it, you've got a lot of choices.
Mm-hmm.
Not just in it, but as the main character. I like the Emma Frost one, was cool too.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
In fact, they have sometimes said she influences people to perceive her as this very beautiful woman.
Mm-hmm.
So I like this. She just doesn't have any clean clothes and decides to influence everybody so that she can just walk around in her what she slept in. So yeah, it was cool. They were just kind of it was a fun thing that it was. For the kind of thing that it was that we're just not used to either. How many times have you seen a comic that has a bunch of very short stories like this?
Right. I would also say that if you pick up this comic book, which I definitely think people should, I think it's pretty cool. While it is not all female creators, I think that this book is a nice, would be a nice companion piece to the Mighty Valkyries, which was released this week as well, which tells the story of the two Valkyries, two individual stories of the two Valkyries in the Marvel Universe. Now, Jane Foster, as well as the
they reveal her name in that issue, I believe.
Right,
the Tessa Thompson Valkyrie.
Tessa Thompson Valkyrie in comic books. They reveal her name in there. But those are two individual stories that have distinct styles. They're telling two separate stories, but I thought they were actually both very cool. Both have different illustrative styles, which kind of roped me in. And I think and for highlighting new women in the Marvel Universe, I think it's a nice companion piece with Women of Marvel.
I like the She-Hulk. I like a story where it's like Rhino tears up this museum because Jennifer Walters was there.
Right.
Is like she was just there to serve him papers, and he is, and now has destroyed this. But the Jean Grey one, I forgot. I loved it. I laughed out loud. Where she's trying to take care of this plant and it's not working, and she's like, succulents are like the cats of the plant world, right? Like this, it'll be so easy, and then it doesn't work, and at the end she has like a ceramic statuette of a plant, and she's like, ceramic plants are like the ceramic of the plant world. I loved it.
Yeah, it was fun. Like, I can't remember the last time I've seen humor from Jean Grey, so I like that just alone. So
yeah,
that's
I think 2 laugh out loud. That and the do it impulsively from the Flash this week.
There you go. There you go. So pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. Right on. Well, we can't end the show because Noel is there.
We don't have the control.
We can't do it. We don't have that power. Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh, but I know Noel wants to.
I know he does. He probably. Did you like it?
I did like it.
How about Carl Lumley, who I did not recognize in his first episode, has been John Johns, the father of John Johns, and Isaiah Bradley. I mean, he's got, my friend pointed out that Jeffrey Wright is Uatu and Gordon. But I got to tell you, I mean, Martian Manhunter and Isaiah Bradley beats Uatu and Gordon to me. Gordon's great and all, but he doesn't even have any powers. Come on.
Right. And to be fair, let's point it out. Carl Lumley plays John Jones in the animated.
Justice, right? That's true. It's true.
So he's not in like the.
Yeah, but he is on Supergirl. He's John John's father.
Oh! See, yeah. I don't watch Supergirl. So
he's good. He's really good. And he was Mantis, which I didn't know. I mean, I dimly remember Mantis, but this was in an era where there were like no superhero shows. And
very much.
I remember liking it. You know.
Yeah. And actually, I interviewed Carl Lumley. The Tribbles. We interviewed him years ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
On our URD radio show, and he was very, very cool.
Cool.
He talked about how when he was younger, his parents would not let him wear jeans and sneakers, and he was definitely coming up in a time when, because there was definitely a time when kids didn't wear jeans and sneakers,
right.
But he was coming up in a time when people were wearing jeans and sneakers, and his parents wouldn't let him wear jeans and sneakers. And he was definitely like a bit of a book nerd and everything like that. And as he's relating this story of his childhood, he very innocently says, like, "Oh my God, I guess I probably was, what would be considered a geek. I just didn't have a name for it." So he said, "Oh my God, I've been outed as a geek on the Black Tribbles. I can't believe this. I can't believe it." And it was really, really cool. It was really cool because then he took the Tribble oath and became Jones Tribble.
Jones?
Yeah, because of John Jones. So
John. Oh, that's cool.
All right, so he's Jones Tribble.
That's awesome.
And then he like says that I'll have to put it. It'll definitely. I'll put it on like a best of Tribbles that we're going to be doing. Like he says like I can't believe this. My friends will ask me like, "Carl, what have you been up to?" He's like, "I am a proud geek. I am Jones Tribble."
I heard a little of his intonation in that too, Len. That was a good like non-impression.
Because I got it resonating in my ear.
Very distinctive. He's got a great voice, and it's very distinctive, like the way that it ended on. Robert Monroe Jr. He was. I just like so dimly remember Mantis. I don't know what he's referencing with the casting. I remember the costume and.
The costume was messed up. The casting, first, I don't know necessarily what he's referring to as with the casting, but the story itself of Mantis was so much more involved and so much was supposed to be so much more, and they kind of like jerked it. The powers that be kind of got in there and kind of messed it up. Yeah. I think what this is very cool, and his name is definitely on people's lips. So I think that this week I'm going to actually go and pull our interview with Carl Lumley and run that.
Would be cool.
You know, well, people have been asking us, well, what are we going to do on Thursday nights? Well, it wasn't video, but so it was back before the days of video. But I'm definitely going to put it out there on podcast, like our whole interview with him.
Yeah, but
really cool.
Nichelle Nichols too, right? Was that with the Black Tribbles, or was that a different?
That was with the Tribbles. That was it. Was more solo. That was me and her, just one-on-one. But
that's awesome.
We sat down with Nichelle Nichols. We've been very fortunate to sit down with quite a few names, so it was pretty dope. So to speak about Falcon and the Winter Soldier specifically, I did enjoy it. I liked the way it ended. I love seeing Sam in the Captain America costume, spot on from the comic books. I love that. There was one very small nitpick that I had, but I'm not going to even pick the nick if I don't have to. I think that the way that it wraps up made sense in a comic book way. This is a nice little like mini series of a comic, in this cinematic universe. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. It was dope. I like that it didn't stray away from some hard questions. And I like that aspect more than anything. And I love that now, not only do they flip the title at the end, because at the end it becomes Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I was like, yes.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
I should not sit next to a person, let alone my wife, on the couch when we watch these shows, because there are certain times when it's just like, oh, look at this! And just like,
get one of those body pillows with like a person drawn on it to have.
As soon as because at the end of every single episode, the title unfurls and it's the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then as soon as it was a Captain America and the Winter Soldier, and they carried it forward, and at the very end of the title credits was also Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Like, they're just going.
Yeah.
Did you guys I'm sorry, I had to help people.
No, we talked about Carl Lumley,
being the Mantis,
among other things. He's got some DC Marvel. Like, he's one of the few that have done both now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, we waited for you because Len knew that you would want to talk about it.
This was a wonderful show. I loved it. But you guys didn't talk about the fact that they've made it officially known that they're developing Captain America for a movie.
Yep. Oh
yeah. Like, yay! It's and the writing team is the
writing team from the series.
So really? Oh, that's cool.
This is so perfect in the way to where it could be just like comics, right? Like, you've got this mini series where it would kind of bridge two gaps. However, you could just read the two event series and be fine. So, like, if you last thing you saw was Avengers Endgame, and then you pick up with Sam as Captain America, cool. Or you can explore it further, and it's great. I have a customer, but the last thing that I want to say, the costume was spot on and it was great. Yeah. But those shoulders were bulky as hell.
That's true.
You don't have to make him look like Steve.
Yeah,
he's fine. He is a leaner dude. Just let him be a leaner dude. But like he was up here, his shoulders were in his ears. Like, just stream that shit down a little bit. But besides that, it was perfect.
Yeah, I hear you about the shoulders, but it kind of worked for me because, and I wouldn't mind if they streamed it down, but it kind of worked for me because, as Sam points out, I am Captain America. I don't have the super soldier serum. This is just me, being me. So you need that kind of like that extra padding.
Oh, so it's not, you're thinking that's just in the suit.
Right.
So I wonder if it's like a Black Panther type suit where, because the wings presumably are vibranium, like they were able to withstand it. So I gotta be honest, I liked it a lot. I was a little disappointed that he didn't get the serum. Now, don't get me wrong. If I had a set of wings, I would not give those up just because I got Captain American Shield. Right, I'm not an idiot, and neither is he. But they, in the story, had like all of the pieces there. His original wings had been destroyed. You had a serum that could make you a super soldier, and an in-story explanation as to why Anthony Mackie wouldn't look any different afterwards. And I would have loved to see that costume with no wings, but with the shield and with him as the super soldier, because I don't know. There is a little bit of me still that's like,
I get it. I like hanging
you're
out
just
with
a guy with a shield if you don't have the have the serum. You know what I mean? Like
right.
you're not going to be holding any helicopters in. I mean, he'll do his different things because he's got the wings instead. But I don't know. I even when John Walker was doing it, or when they're doing it, practicing, I'm like, how the hell are these guys catching that shield without the serum? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how do they know when to put their hand so that it goes on the thing?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't have to pay attention to that while I'm watching the show. But it did kind of weird me out. Like earlier on, I'm like, how is he being Captain America at all without? He's just like a fit dude, you know, the John Walker.
Yeah. True. Well, yeah, but John Walker did take the serum though.
Well, eventually he did, but just in the beginning.
But originally,
see, I thought Carly was going to have like, well, I have one more, and Sam, you won me over, because they were never quite at odds. I even thought that they were a little more at odds in the end than it seemed like they ought to be. She seemed to believe him, you know.
Well, I think she wanted to believe him, and he recognized what drove her to do what she was doing. Because
she's got good points, you know.
Right. But I think he was definitely at odds with her because he saw where it was going. Like there was this disregard.
He was at odds with her for sure, but she was. You know, it was one of those like, I'm sorry, we're on the wrong side, or we're on two different sides kind of thing. Like, I don't have anything against you kind of deals.
Right.
But she was going to be like, I had one more. Boom. Because they did a lot of stuff like the serum makes you more of who you are. And like, I think Sam Wilson is a worthy, you know what I mean? Like being made more of who he is would be good, you know?
True. But like to his point, there's more evidence to the serum being a detriment than like Steve Rogers was proven more and more the outlier. You know,
sure, he definitely was.
So
but
then,
that's the thing with comics. You know, it's a good thing that Kal-El came to Earth as opposed to some other guy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what that's why you aren't John Walker, U.S. agent, who the other heroes are kind of like, I don't know.
But to that point though. Perhaps if Sam already knows about Isaiah Bradley and knowing that, okay, there was another outlier.
Yeah, right. He's a good dude. Yeah.
But at that time, he wasn't fully aware of it,
Right.
And by then it's too late,
Right.
So
I mean, and also story-wise, like,
my son.
Yeah, I heard people online saying like, "Oh, there's an anti-powers rhetoric," and JD and I were talking, and we were like, "Yeah, but that's what Zemo is saying." But Sam also kind of says it. You know, he's like real quick on the no, I wouldn't take the serum, and I like powers, right? Like I like,
but do you want to take? I hear that, but there also is. I mean, you like powers, but there is you got to remember where his mindset is. He's saying no because this is some government that I don't wholly trust, saying that I should take this serum because it's going to do X.
Well, no, I think it was just like a theoretical. Like the source wasn't the government, and it was like the power broker.
Oh, that's true.
There was some, what I mean?
But even still, I mean, it's you're going to trust. Who are you going to trust?
Well, okay, that's fair. I mean, you don't want a very unregulated serum that you are injecting into yourself. Yeah, that's fair.
It's like it's like no, I'm not doing it. No, I'm sorry, I'm not. Plus,
I really thought they were building to it though with those things that with like wings destroyed, serum doesn't alter the look of him. You know what I mean?
But the other thing you have to think about is that as much as they are building that, you have to come at it again from his point of view of a black man and the history of black men, knowing Isaiah Bradley or not, and the history of black men, being tested on, taking serums or quote unquote vaccines, and you being wary of that type of stuff. And he in this world, in this universe, as it's been established, is right to have that wariness. So him saying a quick no.
Well, but I thought he was more saying like, even if assuming the serum worked, I still wouldn't want it. Right.
Like, no, Well, yes, I think I think there also is that. There also is, just wanting to be his own man. Accomplish things on of his own volition. So
So I was thinking of that too, and as a commentary on privilege, right? But isn't the idea that everyone should get the privilege? Like, that's the problem with privilege, is that it's not equally doled out. Not that, you see these things that are like, wow, this guy succeeded in a circumstance he never should have had to have been in. Isn't that uplifting? It's like, well, wouldn't it be more uplifting if he didn't have to work his way out of this thing? I don't know.
True.
Yeah.
But where he would say no, someone else might say yes. The privilege is being offered the opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah.
So I didn't. And again, I love, just in the way that we spoke about earlier, the way of X. I love that this was a series that invites this conversation. That as much whiz bang of the action and everything happening in this, as much as U.S. agent is set up to be like the big bad villain of this whole series.
Yeah, no, he's really not.
There's areas of a gray with him. He really is a dude that really does want to do the right thing.
And I thought that was a great scene in the end where he's like, he could chase after somebody or save people, which for a hero is like a classic villain thing to do, and the hero always goes it. But with him, you don't know.
Right.
And I thought it was cool. I'll see you later, Mars Comics. Thanks for stopping.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
We'd probably end the show too, but Noel's gone, and we can't. We don't have that. We don't have that ability. Yeah. So we'll just talk about whatever. But I liked it, and to be honest, the whole Captain America family of characters, I'm never gonna be as into. I mean, I was into Captain America way more in the movies than I ever have been in the comics.
Okay, fair.
So this is not like the fact that Noel's really into it. That's great, because he loves it. Like me, I'm like, this will do until we get to Loki. Like that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, that's just usually my. I mean, he's less Superman than Superman, less Batman than Batman. He's
very true. Very true.
Although he is kind of the combination of the two in many ways.
Many ways. But this will do until you get to Loki. Or are you excited for MODOK? Did you see the MODOK preview?
I am. I have not seen the trailer. From what I hear, it seems like Marvel was like, yo, we got to get a Harley Quinn style thing in here. But I'm into that. Harley Quinn was awesome. And MODOK is fun. He's one of those obscure-ish kind of characters that I love. Yeah, he's pretty obscure.
Ish.
Well, you don't have a MODOK action figure, Len? A MODOK T-shirt and pajamas?
No, I don't. MODOK seriously looks like if MODOK showed up on a episode of the Herculoids, it would be spot on, right? He just doesn't like. What is he doing in the Marvel comic book?
I heard on the Lego version of him, it's just like the Lego head. You know what? Speaking of action figures and obscure characters, we were talking about Captain Universe's costume the other week, right? And I stood up for it. You weren't into it. But I saw there was a figure, but it came out several years ago, and now it's like expensive to get it. And I was like, a Captain Universe figure? That would be awesome. And it was actually a Spidey, but it came with multiple heads. So you got the Captain Universe Spider-Man with the web kind of thing.
That sounds weak. That's a Spider-Man with a Captain Universe head.
No. It's the You remember the Captain Universe Spider-Man storyline?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, yes, it's that. Yes. But they also give you like two other heads that are just not Spider-Man at all. That are just Captain Universe. Yeah. One of them is just some dude. I don't know what the deal with that one is. There's like three heads. One of them is Spider-Man. One of them is the Captain Universe mask, and then the other one is just a guy who maybe is him under the mask. I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah, but MODOK looks fun.
Sorry,
we can't end the show without you.
Yeah, I know it's been busy. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
So I mean, screw you guys. Bye. Thank you for joining us this morning on the CultPop podcast live stream. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe, jump in the comments, hit the bell notification if you're on YouTube, so you know when we go live and you can join the conversation in real time. Apologies for walking away for a hot second or 12, whatever, but I'm sure these fools are super great. Read your comics, enjoy life, hug a friend if they're also vaccinated. Other than that, see you guys next week. Len, where can the people find you?
You can find me on. Oh wow.
It's different now.
Yeah, just look at Len Battrib on all the social medias, and
you got the Michaud Mission.
I do have the Michaud Mission. You can check out my podcast, the Michaud Mission. We stream live every Tuesday night. 2-man, 1 podcast. Every Black film ever made. We're in the middle of Afrofuturistic. We're at the end of Afrofuturistic April, and we're doing from 2013, I think. I can't remember. Z for Zachariah, which stars Chiwetel Ejiofor. So it's a very cool dystopian movie that we're going to be checking out this week.
Len, could I give you a recommendation out of nowhere? The Painkiller backdoor pilot. I talked about it last week on the show, and it had a kind of Afrofuturistic vibe in my feeling, although it's kind of in this place. It's this like crazy, so different from Black Lightning show that I don't know. I think you might be interested in.
All right.
So, yeah.
I'll check it out.
I also saw your companion on Michaud Mission. You posted something on Facebook, and he's got a comic rack with like graphic novels and stuff.
He's got
which I think is a cool style, as I also have. Yeah,
it's not a rack. He's got a whole room. It's insane.
I think it's cool that he has the actual. I think that's a cool thing to do, to have like the for sale thing. Yes.
Yeah. All right, we gotta get out of here.
So
take it easy, guys. I'm at BrianLeeDesign.com if you want to look at it.
I'll see you on social media, guys. If I'm the one that has to hit the button, I have to run.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I'll see you guys later. Love you. Bye.